Welcome to this Prior Park tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a very simple navigation bar from scratch. To get started, I'm going to do like I always do. I'm going to create a new file. We're going to File, and then New File. Before we start coding, I need to save it as a .html file so we know that we're creating a HTML web page. So I'll go to File, then I'll click on Save, and let's save this on my desktop. We'll call this navigationbar.html. Remember, the .html is very important to make sure it actually loads as a web page. Let's create the first skeleton by typing an exclamation mark and hitting enter. We'll get rid of the stuff that we don't need. Let's now save this. And let's go locate this on my desktop. And let's open this up on the web page. There we go. Now let's start coding. Navigation bars are incredibly important and they're used throughout many different web pages. To start, let's go to the body and create a UL tag. UL stands for unordered list. In other words, it'll give you a list with bullet points. The opposite to that is OL, which stands for ordered list. This will give you a list with numbers. Let's create some list items. To create some list items, I'm going to type in li for list item. Let's write some basic buttons. Home, and I'll copy and paste this 4 times. About, contact, and map. Let's go to File and Save, and let's refresh our web page. As you can see, we now have bullet points here to show each of our list items. If I were to change the UL tag into OL tags, again, I'll hit File and Save. You'll see I get numbers instead of bullet points. Let's stick with bullet points for now. Now, the next step is to actually style our navigation bar so it looks like a navigation bar. To do this, I'm going to use style tags in the head. So let's create a style tag here and close it there. Remember, everything inside our style tag is now going to be CSS code. You can look at a previous tutorial video to see how this works. Let's do some styling. First, let's style the UL tag. This means that I'm going to style everything that is inside my UL tag. So if anything is in between the open and close tags here and here, it's going to be affected. So, what do we want to do? Let's take off the bullet points. I can do this by typing list, style, none. Let's save this and refresh our page, and there we go. Let's also increase the width of our navigation bar. I'll do width 100 VW. Just to see this better, let's give it a background color as well, and I'll give it a background color of grey. File and save. VW might be something you've not seen before. VW stands for view width, and what it does is it acts like a percentage. In other words, I'm saying get to 100% of the size of my window. So this makes it 100% of the Internet Explorer window. I can also modify the color here to whatever color I want by using a hashtag. If I put hashtag 999999, I get a similar gray. The first 2 values are red, the second 2 values are green, and the third 2 values are blue. Depending on how much you put in each one, depends on how different the color is. For example, if I put FF0000, that gives me red. The numbers go from 0 to 9, and then from A to F, with 0 being the lowest and F being the highest. If I put 00 FF00, I get green. For now, let's stick with grey. Opposite to VW is VH. which stands for view height. So if you want it to be 100% of the view height, you can put VH instead of VW. For now, we'll stick with VW. Next, let's style all of our individual list tags. This means that I'm going to affect every single list tag in my document. So what do we want to do? Let's change some attributes. Let's change the font family to Arial. Let's change the padding to 20 pixels. And let's see how that affects our web page. Padding will add fluff around our objects. In other words, it'll add spacing. We've also got margin, which adds spacing. But what's the difference between the two? Well, margin will add empty space around my object. Padding will actually add stuff into my space around. For example, if I give us a background color of red, you can see each one has red around it. If I change padding to margin, you see that we do have the spacing, but it's not filled in with the background color. So think of it that way. Padding will fill in the empty space with the background color, whereas margin will keep it transparent. Now, navigation bar won't be very good going down like this. We want everything to be next to each other. We can do that by changing the way that it's displayed on the web page. So let's add a new property here. It's called display. We can display everything, most things get displayed as a block by default, which means they go underneath each other, like these over here. What we want to do is we want to display as an inline block. In other words, we want the block to be displayed inline. Now that they're all inline block, let's see how that affects it. Now everything is put next to each other. This is much better. Now, let's affect this and change it, or change what happens when our mouse goes over the items. Because at the moment, nothing really happens. It doesn't feel very interactive. To affect what happens when the mouse hovers over an item, we're going to use a special property, which is a colon. We'll put li, colon, and you can see there's loads of stuff we can change. What we want to change is we want to change what happens when something hovers over it. So think of the colon as an action. This will only happen, or the properties in here will only change when the mouse hovers over something. In this case, when the mouse hovers over something that is li. So what do we want to change? Let's change the cursor. So instead of being a line like this, we want it to be a pointer. Let's file and save this, and let's see what happens. Now, as you can see, when I hover over one of these items, my mouse turns into a little hand icon instead of a line. This is a little bit better, but we can do even better than that. Let's change the color of the text to white, and let's change the background color to a darker color. If we got gray with 999999, let's do a darker gray with 222222. Let's hit File and Save. There we go. Now it looks much more interactive. Now the problem with this navigation bar is that when you click on it, it doesn't seem to register that we're clicking on it. Let's fix that. Instead of li hover, let's do li active. This affects what happens when you click on the object. Now what can we do when we click on the object? Well, we can make the background color even darker. Make it black. If we save this, if I click on it, see now it goes black and it looks more like we've clicked on it. These are some of the ways you can edit your navigation bar. Now, here's a little tip to make this look even better. In the original styling for the li, we can affect how long it takes to transist or change to the hover properties, or how long it takes to change to the active properties. In other words, I can set a timer for how long it takes for these to change and how long it takes for these to change. I do that in the original styling, not the ones with hover, not the ones with active. So let's do that over here. I'm going to add a property called transition, I'm going to specify how many seconds I want it to change with. Let's specify 1 second. Now that that is there, I click save. Watch what happens. It now takes 1 second to change when I hover over it, and 1 second to change when I click on it. These are different ways you could style your web browser, especially with your navigation bar. As a last little tidbit, if you want to center everything inside here, we can do that in the original UL. What we can do in the original UL, we can say text align center. This is a bit weird because it says text align, but what this property does is it gets everything inside of it, in this case all of the LIs, and it puts it in the middle of the UL. So everything inside the UL will have a centered text. Let's see how this affects it. There we go. It's now in the center of my screen. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you have found it helpful.